Welcome to Beachside Tech Talk. My name is Ian Utilli. We got another full house. We had a dozen people here yesterday. I'm here with my two sons, Kenton and Malachi, my wife Riza, my brother Dan, two of my business partners, Brandon and Curtis. We got Ted coming in from the Silicon Valley and Nigel from the East Coast. And our segment right now is going to be on the impact that both Web3 and AI are making upon education and apprenticeship. All of us have gone through the education system, some of us more successfully than others. Looking at you, Malachi, you've done quite well in school. And then many of us have become teachers, especially as we get older. We start to find ourselves having something to teach others. And so I have seen this play out in my kid's life. I've seen this play out in my life. I've become a teacher. Before we get started and jump in, I'd love for Brandon and Curtis for you guys to introduce yourself. I'm going to have you use this microphone because that one doesn't seem to be red for me at the present moment. So Brandon, jump in and say hello to everybody.
Hey everyone, my name is Brandon and I'm happy to be here.
And tell us a bit about your background with advanced technologies, since that's our topic for today. Is just, with these types of talks, we're always talking about the impact that's being made around these automation techs.
Yeah, so my background, I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have a few exits. About 2 years ago, I started building a crypto banking and payments platform. And the idea around it was to make crypto spendable for everyday transactions. It's easy enough for grandmas and teenagers to use it.
And how have you seen that change when you talk about grandmas and teenagers being able to use it? How has that changed over time? How have you seen these automation technologies become easier for our grandparents' age or our parents? How have you seen this technology become more easily adapted by, our kids as they grow? And give me a little insight in terms of how you survey things for the younger and older generations.
It's eliminating steps in the process, which used to take, spending money to, family members used to require you driving down to a store, getting the cash. First thing before that, you have to go to the bank, and then the person receiving has to go through the same thing. So you're talking 6 to 10 time exhausting steps, when now you can click a few buttons and eliminate those steps to maybe 1 to 3 steps. And it actually happens instantly, and it's much more efficient.
And so, Curtis, why don't you jump and grab that mic and get up close to it like you love it, and tell the folks that are listening, whether they're here listening on KOMY, Home of Schoolhouse Radio, or they're listening online through our live stream, give a little background on yourself and your place in kind of the automation, advanced technology world.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ian. It's a pleasure to be here with your audience. I like to call myself a prophetic entrepreneur and innovator. With God. And my purpose along with my team is to implement systems using AI, blockchain technology, Web3 overall, to create systems of abundance, prosperity for all of humanity, but specifically for the kingdom of God. So I kind of had this unique, niche lane, I guess you could say. My background as an entrepreneur, I've had successful exits, and I've had exits that I've learned from, as many of us have. And I've actually worked for some of the top blockchain companies in the world. And so, it's kind of merging both of those realities right now. And I'm just super excited. I'm super excited to be on this show with you guys. But just what's happening right now in the world with this technology and how it could impact people of all ages. So I'm looking forward to having that discussion with you guys again.
So, Ted, I'd love to hear from you. You're in the Silicon Valley. You have a lot in common with Brandon and Curtis. All three of you guys are in the technology world. All three of you guys are in the nonprofit faith environment, as you guys have merged together business and ministry stuff. And so, Ted, what's on your mind when you think about the present impact, the news of the day, when it comes to these automation tools and how you see them impacting the specific realm of our society that is education and apprenticeship. Let's dive into that topic.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited about our conversation today. I think this is one of the most exciting applications and also one of the areas that's going to be most deeply needed. I mean, I think if we project forward 5 years, or I don't know how long the time is going to be, but there's going to be coming a time where, human flourishing for everyone, and where technology is going to really empower more abundance. But I know that in the midterm, there's going to be a very difficult transition. We're already in it, and it's really hitting the poor and the disenfranchised more and more. They're having their jobs displaced. But the opportunity is now, if we can use the technology that's displacing them to train them, equip them, and really envision it as an upskilling, I believe there's huge opportunities there. And we're seeing a lot of exciting stuff in that area too, with the early adopters who, in my industry, which is the social impact industry, the nonprofit industry, and those who are adapting this and doing cool stuff and seeing good results. But there's much more needed.
And Nigel, jump on in. You're living in the future, but we're talking about the present. You have been educating the world ever since I met you. First of all, you're the ultimate educator of why it's so important to be gratitude champion, why being thankful is important, why our attitude matters so much. But also you educate through your jobs, your contract work that you do for the Fortune 500 and beyond. You educate through your different projects and side hustles as you're using social media of all types. And you understand the whole process of educating the world. So I think we'd love to just hear your insights and how you see this stuff playing out.
Well, thank you for that generous introduction. I think that we're in a unique position, and by that I mean everything is coming together in a very helpful and democratic way, dare I say. Having worked in many corporate environments that are highly structured, like accounting and finance and things of that nature, you find that things are siloed. So you learn one skill and you do that one skill and you're like a cog in a wheel kind of thing. And, working at more opportunity, where there's more opportunity, you have to do many more things. So if you're outside and you're being an entrepreneur, you have to do more things. You have to wear more hats. But what I'm finding now is the level of conversations we're having, meaning, and ultimately the education that we end up getting, is going to be better. The level of conversations are going to rise. So for folks that I think fear AI and technology the most, and I was thinking about this morning, are the ones that have traditionally thrived on being the authorities that were beyond reproach, beyond question. The interesting thing now is that we're in the best position to learn technology and understand technology in a way and utilize it to understand things the way we understand it, to get deeper insight and therefore have better questions. So whether it's your doctor, your lawyer, your pastor, it's not going to be just what they say, full stop, that's it. It's going to be, I can get 20,000 different sources of information and authoritative experts to either agree, challenge, bring insight, add context, remove ambiguity from any conversation. And for those of us who are willing to engage in that, our education is going to be rich and robust. For those of us who don't, I believe that you're going to just get run over, because education doesn't stop. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to be educated and actually learn, not education process as in school itself, but to actually learn, to teach, to build and grow together.
Yeah, and I'd love to come to you. What are your thoughts when it comes to where we're at as a present moment, and you see these new technologies playing out across the realm of teaching and learning, of the Jedi and the Padawan? How important do you imagine these tools are today? If you were to be called on as a guest lecturer for UCSC to teach something, if you were to be called on, or you decide to start some sort of apprenticeship type program for the trades, because you've been in the trades all your life, how might you imagine using these technologies as they are currently in their modern state.
I think they're being used all the time now, and more. I think the traditional path of a 4-year degree is kind of being antiquated right now. As far as teaching and learning, I think that people that are hiring or desiring to hire are on a more performance basis. Show me what you know. There's a lot of certifications that go along with this, and what I'm saying is different paths of travel for your education. But I think that we saw that period of time a few years ago where student debt was just out of control. I mean, it was probably one of the biggest debts we had in our country, and it put a lot of people kind of down and out for a long time. I mean, there's still people paying on $100,000 educations that they got, and did they even go to work in that field that they got a degree in. But as far as the tools and where we're going right now, I'm very, very optimistic because there is a lot of badging and certifications, and they are more of a hands-on approach. I think that we know Professor Tim Bates there at University of Michigan, and I found his teaching methodology and his grading approach is absolutely amazing. That he bases 70% of the grade on your interaction with him, and again, it's and that one-on-one. Even if he does a lot of online classes and stuff, you still see the students talking, and you can know right away whether someone is a competent or cognitive, or even how much they do know about a subject. So finding out that he's judging 3/4 of his grading on actual contact and not, passing a test or filling out or writing a report or a thesis or something like that. So I'm super optimistic in where the education is going. Again, I learned through the trades through mentorship. I was in the physical areas in building and construction, and I had a couple of great guys, including Dad, who I started, in some summers with before I got out of high school. But I had a guy who took me on for a couple of years, and the not knowing what you don't know kind of thing. I was so young, and by the time that I was starting to make money and left to go work with a commercial company, I had wonderful skills that I had been taught, and again, I did not know that I had those until I left out into another job out there. But I'm super excited for where we're going with it. I think that all of the tech that we have gives pretty much anyone an opportunity to make the best of themselves if they want to put in the work. So very happy.
I'm gonna go to Malachi and Kenton. They're actually in school, so they understand how the stuff is playing out. In both for Malachi's been in high school now. He'd be a junior, but he's transferred over to Oasis, and so that allows him to basically knock out his associate's degree the next couple of years at Cabrillo. So Malachi, you have experienced school up through the middle of high school. Now you're going to transition to college. You're going to see how it plays out there. Kenny, you're getting ready to start 7th grade. So definitely interested in how the two of you see these technologies playing out. Now, obviously, you see it playing out through AI. You know that your teachers are either using AI or they're against AI. Either they encourage you to use it or they discourage you to use it. So go ahead and share with us.
I don't know why exactly, but for whatever reason, teachers in the school system feel like AI is a bad thing right now. I don't know what made that happen, but maybe it's just that they are trying really hard to hold on to a job that in a way isn't as necessary as other ones. I think that teachers are not going to teach. That's kind of just AI is going to do it better. But teachers are absolutely going to be necessary in a different kind of way. I think teachers are going to be there to be the people kind of part, and they're going to try and, at first at least, be there to help be the human connection that students need. But AI is going to teach people because AI is simply better. And I think that that's something that kind of scares the school system, because the school system is probably the first system that's going to be kind of rattled by AI coming. And I mean, recently, the government just decided that the Department of Education is no longer going to really be as big as it was. And so I think local education becoming something that is more prevalent is going to be really, really huge, because places like Silicon Valley, they're probably going to start using AI way quicker, because now they don't have to be forced to do what everywhere else in the US is. And so what do you guys all think about that?
Well, let's jump to Kenton. Kenton's in school, and then if the guys have response, then I know they'll jump in with that. But Kenny, you're going into 7th grade. How are you currently using advanced technologies like ChatGPT and Grok and Midjourney to create images? How do you see your teachers using it? How do you see your teachers talking about it? How do you see your school, the local school, Twin Lakes Christian School, which is one of the larger private schools? How do you see their approach to these technologies? I want you to share with everyone. And thanks for being here, son.
Thank you. So I do see some teachers use AI like ChatGPT and Grok for knowing what to talk about in the subject. Like my mom, she's the music teacher for elementary, and sometimes I'll see her use ChatGPT to like ask what she should do today for music, like, and ChatGPT will make ideas like, how about do a football game where you can pass the football and somebody will make a sound, something like that. And also, I also see some of my teachers in middle school right now using ChatGPT and Grok to tell if kids are cheating using AI. That's a big thing for my teachers right now at our school, because a lot of the 8th graders are using things like that because they're smart and they can find some things to use like that, and they cheat on tests and stuff. So
Kids never cheat in school.
But yeah, some of my teachers use these apps. They even showed us the apps that they use for.
They're like, we are going to punish you.
They showed us the apps of like how to tell they cheat, and it's actually really good. The AI nowadays for knowing like the script for other AI is mind blowing for me. I was doing this test, and I know that I didn't use AI, and it was telling me all this crazy stuff about how good I did, what I should change, and all this stuff. And it helped me a lot. I rewrote my paper and I got a better score off of that AI app. And I mean, it can bring your grade up. AI can bring your grade up, but a lot of times when kids cheat with AI, it doesn't bring your grade up. So teachers use these AI in my school to tell if other kids are cheating, and they'll tell you like the percentage of if you're cheating or not, and yeah, helps them a lot.
Well, Riza right behind me, she did a keynote at NFT NYC last year, and she was the only person that spoke about blockchain and digital assets and NFT specifically in education. She gave this really powerful story of a friend of hers that was a dentist, and it turns out somebody took the friend's dental diploma and stole it and opened up a dental office. What a scary thing, right? You go to the dentist. It turns out the person that opened a dental office is not a real dentist. They stole somebody else's dental diploma. And so Riza's entire thing was, we need all of our diplomas, especially higher education, especially things like doctorates, master's degrees, even bachelor's degrees. We need these things to be on distributed ledgers so that we can prove without a shadow of a doubt that this person actually has this degree. And even in politics, right? People are lying about things. I just heard this joke. I thought it was pretty funny. 3 pastors are hanging out at a campfire. One pastor says, guys, I got to confess something. I lied on my application at the church. I didn't really graduate from this place. I need to get that off my chest. The next guy, he goes, I can't even tell you guys this, but the last church I worked for, I stole a bunch of money. I never told anybody, but man, it feels so good to finally get it off my chest. And the third guy goes, I really struggle with gossip. I can't wait to get home. I can't wait to get home right now. So
I should have went first. I want to
please.
briefly say something about what I talked about, because I think there's just a wall that happens in the education thing, and a brief example kind of came up in my mind. I think there's a struggle with the AI and the scholastic system because there's fear of a type of learning that's being missed. And I'll give you an example, like from before cell phones became so prevalent, you used to have to remember people's phone numbers. And I just like to venture to ask right now, anyone listening, anyone around that can see or hear me, if I asked you to even tell me your own number, you probably know that, and you might know your significant others. But if I started asking you to tell me your mother's cell phone, your cousins, your brothers, or anyone's cell phone, you wouldn't know because you never push the buttons anymore. So the point I'm trying to get to is the AI is the best tool as an assistant, but if it takes away the process of learning, then that's the fear of are you learning? Because so I think there's a couple of solutions, or maybe some beta to try out would be like, because the AI gives you so much information, and if you can hold on to it, you're a champion. Can you learn with it, and then for testing or something like that, put it down? In other words, you can't use it for it just to show what you're retaining. And I don't know, maybe I'm kind of speaking a little bit too far ahead, but the point I'm trying to get to is I think that's the push with you guys and your teachers and stuff, looking up things. And then again, from the teacher's point of view, and then upper teachers in superintendents or the principal's office running the teachers, it's like if you AI a whole curriculum and a whole teaching system, then what are you even doing as the teacher? What are you bringing to the table? Where's your flavor that's because we all remember those special teachers that we had. I remember a couple of teachers, I still remember their names, man. They were I loved a couple of my teachers. And
shout out to Mr. Miller.
Yeah.
Over at Fun Lake.
Yeah. He's
an absolute legend.
Yep.
Also Mr. Dixon. Kenton's actually in Mr. Dixon's class right now. He would tell us he's a Dixon teacher.
So, but I mean, I think that's kind of the point I was trying to get to is that there's a bridge there that we still need to have that connection, and it's the retention of whatever it is you're learning, whatever subject matter, because it's easy to look the stuff up and then you see it, oh, it's done. Best answer you could ever give, best paper you could ever write. But what did you do? Like changing a tire, you won't know how to change a tire good until you do about 3 or 4. And you're going to have knuckles busted up because you missed the wrench, and you're going to have problems and stuff like that or whatever. And after that 4th time of doing it, now you got it down. And that's something as rudimentary as changing a tire. So, when we're talking about curriculums and learning things and actually retaining it, I think that's where I'm super optimistic, and I take that word.
Where you guys mentioned, teachers that really impacted you and you connected with. I mean, I think that kind of highlights the sweet
And we'll talk
spot.
more about that in just a moment. We're going to take a moment to have a break, and we'll be back in 4 minutes with our next segment about the future.
Slurping today. 7-Eleven. Did you get it? No.
Hey, everybody. So we're on a commercial break here at the radio, but I'm still live with the internet. Just want you to know we'll be back in about 3 minutes. So we've decided to start doing topical stuff. So on Mondays, we're talking community and philanthropy. Today, on Tuesdays, we're talking education and apprenticeship. Then on Wednesdays, it'll be business and finance. On Thursdays will be news and media. And finally, on Fridays, will be art and entertainment. And every week, we're going to recycle these things. This week, we're kind of getting into the flow of things. We've changed our programming structure. It used to be 4 segments that were about 11 minutes each. We're now doing 2 segments that are about 25 minutes each. And so what we just did was kind of the present impact of AI and or Web3 or just general automation technology upon this specific industry. And this allows us to kind of be focused on what we're sharing. I host the show with 4 guys. I have Ted, Nigel, Dan, and Malachi, and all 4 of them have obviously a very different perspective, but it's specific in terms of, Ted really understands the perspective of anyone in nonprofit world, charity, philanthropy, ministry. Nigel really understands anything regarding the whole world of kind of white collar work, Dan, blue collar, and Malachi, youth. So what I've tried to do is get some traction so that the 4 co-hosts can really speak specifically to all these different audiences and that we can speak about specific industries. And then the first segment is all about the present, the news, and the second segment is all about the future and the vision. So I hope that you will be highly encouraged by what we're about to share about the future, because if we can see these technologies make positive impacts upon education and apprenticeship in the future. Now, this could be in 2 months or 2 years, certainly within a generation. It's going to be wild what happens. And so as we start to think through these things, if you're on Facebook, you'll notice when people leave comments on Facebook, I can easily jump in there and say something. I'm able with this technology to basically interact with people on Facebook pretty easily, but we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and usually on Instagram, but I think there's an Instagram issue. If you have any suggestions, and feel free to post that in the comments. Feel free to send me a DM. I don't really check my DMs very often. So if you know me, please send me a text message. Just shoot me a text on my cell and say, hey, here's an idea. Here's a thought. Have you considered this? Now that we're getting traction, we will bring in people to be partners with us in this radio program. Be a bit different than traditional like sponsorship advertising. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically go live across different platforms, and the quote unquote partner sponsor will be somebody that we go live across all their platforms and basically speak to their audience. So that'll be probably rolling out around August. I still want to finish the next couple weeks of prototyping this. And we also have Nigel that's going to be flying out here. Okay, we're going to go live again on the radio. So strap in. We're talking about the future vision, everybody. My name is Ian Utilli. Welcome to Beachside Tech Talk here at 1340 AM KOMY, home of Schoolhouse Radio. Dan, I want to kick it back over to you. We're talking future vision. What's the most exciting vision that you have around education and apprenticeship? And then let's just do some quick big vision ideas around the table. Then we'll go to Ted and Nigel, and really looking forward to what type of things we can manifest. I mean, if it's said in the sacred scriptures that God created everything with his voice, that there be light. It's said that when you look at Jesus's life, how did he heal Lazarus? He said, Lazarus, rise and come out. There's a lot to be said for the things that we speak. Obviously, somebody that says, it always rains on me, man. Everything doesn't go my way. Things always seem to be against me. Well, what turns out to happen? Like, it just seems as though nothing goes their way, and they're right about that.
You can always say everything is sunshine on me, and there's always something.
That's right. So we want to try to manifest a world that we want to live in. So Dan, why don't you take it away?
Awesome. Thank you so much, brother. Appreciate that. I think something just popped into my head that I don't give enough gratitude and appreciation for. And well, of course, Mike. I love myself and my brother and you guys, everybody here. But it just dawned on me that what a blessing KMY is.
Yeah.
and their whole ethos is the schoolhouse radio.
Yeah.
So, I've had the opportunity to meet some of the staff here and actually come in and do some of the broadcasting. And I took it light at first to heart, but it's an amazing thing. It feels great to actually be able to sit down, maybe do a little bit of research on something, pick a subject, and hopefully there's something informative you're able to impart onto anyone out there, maybe driving around or whatever they're doing, just gardening or something. But yeah, KMY is a great organization. I just have to take my hat off to them for starting the schoolhouse radio. They're focused on a youth movement. They are tying into the education systems. Talking to some teachers. Sure, shortly here we're going to have some people coming in and just giving their take on where they stand and what their curriculum is. I briefly mentioned something about the father of tech out there at the University of Michigan and the way he approaches his teaching methods and his grading systems. And I'd love to, really see someone come in and start engaging with that same type of atmosphere here at the Schoolhouse Radio. I also see maybe a 1-hour show for one of the fortunate, lucky local teachers who would be brave enough to come on and educate the community on where the tech is going with it, how it's moving, and where their approach is to bring more and more community involvement in that, because the hybrid system seems to be working best. It's a trial and error until we get comfort built into something, and then we can lean one way or the other, and we know that the transparency seems to be the greatest thing. Yet there's so much data out there now that we just let things free flow into. So we're hoping that the higher ups and the people that run those companies are doing the ethical right thing. And but yeah, my heart right now today on this particular broadcast just is particularly on the radio station. Again, they are Schoolhouse Radio, and it's AOMY, schoolhouse.org. You can leave comments there, and it's being built out right now. So, the guys behind the scene are just great people, locals, heavy into the community, have been here for years. Kristen has her Mama Bear program that I've actually listened to once. It's female oriented, but I think that that's what we need. The moms out there let's get together and talk about what's going on, what's happening, where their movement is, and how they can better take care of their family unit as a matriarch. So the ethos of that is just incredible. And after talking about that for a couple minutes, I feel nice and warm inside. Well,
Comments from Teddy out of the Philippines make you feel nice and warm. I started crying. I just read his last comment. Called me a light there. What a lovely thing to be said. Teddy also had an idea. How can this technology support young people that have ADHD? He also shouted out to you, Curtis. And so I don't know if you have ADHD, but I think you have ADOS, attention deficit. Ooh, shiny. So Curtis, why don't you say hello to Teddy, and what's your vision for where things can go with education? And what do you think about Teddy's idea when it comes to supporting, kids that have more challenges when it comes to concentration and being able to be a good, quote unquote, a good student?
Well, thanks Ian for calling me challenge. Appreciate that. As I was zoning out on my phone, so fair enough. I want to confess something. If you could be Father Ian right now. I used to cheat a lot in school, so I just wanted to bring back that topic. But to Dan's point, I even think our cheating was better. You know what I mean? We had to work really hard.
Yeah, that's true. It took work.
I think that's where that saying comes, if they had only used that for good.
Yeah.
It's like they'd be running companies, guys.
I was brilliant.
Because they can cheat so well, so fast. Flanking a problem is the key to it. It's warfare. It's how you win battle, and even mentally or whatever you're doing, you approach something head on so you can get a grasp of it.
Correct.
And then when you want to overcome this thing, the head on approach, you start to get lumps on the forehead after a while, but you can find these silky roads, little slight pathways to things that either were forgotten, not known about, or another way to execute your momentum. Ergo, a shortcut. People
Yeah.
might say that's
That's a
cheating.
better way to put it. I used to shortcut a lot in school.
But I think that's brilliance, man.
And
that shows so much
does.
intelligence.
But right now, AI, I think, is kind of skipping that. So there was this, I just wanted to solidify that point that AI can't do everything, but it is an amazing tool. But it did, I think it would have helped somebody like myself who did have attention.
You just would have cheated better.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's great. That's straight.
Well,
that
The
hard
thing is,
work.
you gotta be careful.
Well, when you look, I mean,
fully, because to some extent, it's just like what we were saying yesterday. It's a new way of finding information, and if you use it in the correct way, then it's just like having my dad to endlessly have conversations and questions with.
That's fair.
I feel you were in there telling a story, so I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I wanna
you're
hear
good.
what you're saying about. I used to cheat a lot, and
And no, so to Teddy's point, I mean, I did actually have challenges growing up, and I thought a lot about the education system and how we could utilize it, not just to help people that maybe have challenges learning or different things like that. But I think the piece that's missing is accountability. I'm somebody that drives off accountability. So even if I can't focus, but I know that there's a shiny thing and a goal, something to run towards, I used to do way better. If not, I would just zone out, right? And so my background, just so people know, in the tech world, I ran my own technology recruiting company in New York City. I had some of the biggest clients in the world, very successful in taking people out of education systems and putting them into tech companies or out of tech companies into tech companies. I did that at some of the top companies, and like 6 years ago, I started noodling on this idea. I see education starting from day one all the way till you retire.
nice.
Like if you think about when you move from college into your first job, what you're saying is, I have this education, now I'm coming in here to learn
A new job.
a new job, to get educated, to then move into a management position, learn management.
Project management,
It's just all
running people.
education, and then you're utilizing your skill set. So what if we tie? I've thought about this a lot. If we were able to tie a soul-bound token or an NFT to an individual from the day they get into school, it adds an accountability level. So what a soul-bound token is for individuals out there, it's like an NFT, but it's attached to you forever. It's your personal NFT, and so you could attach reward systems to it. Because the other thing is,
It's
people
more
also
like your digital self.
that your digital self throughout your education and career, because somebody like myself, I was into so many different things. My grades were okay, but if people could have seen the breadth of who I was, all of my different things, all the different skills that I had that were attached to me, I would have read a better story than possibly just what my grades were. Because maybe I wasn't able to have, because of ADHD or some sort of learning challenge, I wasn't able to perform as well as other people, right? But if you could see the robustness of somebody. So, for example, my job was to hire the best people on planet Earth. And if you think about how broken the system is right now, all you're saying is, hey, I'm looking at your resume for some buzzwords. I'm trusting that you're saying exactly what you're saying. I don't know if your manager's ever had a problem with you. I'm relying on you telling me truth, and sometimes you're just a really good speaker. And then you get hired into this organization, and there's still no accountability on you, right? So what if this NFT ran with you throughout your entire education system and into your career?
Yeah.
So when you step into your employer, you're like, here is my person. And they're like, oh my gosh, you were a Michelin chef? You were a brick mason at one point? Oh my gosh, so you work with your hands, and everything comes with you. Also the bad. So it's like, oh, I see here though that you had some disciplinary things, or you were late to work this year. What happened? Like, where were you in that?
Right.
And here's the thing though. Individuals aren't valued enough inside of education systems or in universities. Their value isn't marked, or inside of an organization. So let's say you're able to now take all these NFTs of people and they all work at Google. Google wouldn't want to let go of that person, because the value at Google is now increased because the NFT is holding your value. So if I leave from Google and go to Facebook, my NFT value is now at Facebook. Google's value should go down and Facebook should go up. So I all of a sudden become valuable. So I want to obtain everything throughout my life. And as an ADHD person, I'm a skydiver. I do all these other things in my life. It just makes you more robust. So I think that there is a way using NFTs. And here's the last piece: taking AI as a hiring manager. If I could take your NFT and plug it into a system and say, can you tell me everything about Curtis's like tell me who he is as a person, just from his experience on this NFT. I want to know everything. I want to know outside of the buzzwords on his resume. And then I can see who Curtis is when he steps into the room instead of just what the piece of paper says. So I actually have thought about this a lot in my ADD scattered brain.
Well, that is a fantastic idea.
So you're thinking that they, like birth and death certificates, getting involved into the public works section of that, because they are going to start onboarding all of this. It's perfect for birth certificate. It becomes an NFT, and then at that point it becomes digitized through some ledger or wallet system.
There's a scary part to that if the government's too involved. So that's where it always gets dicey, right?
Correct. Who's
But
holding
holds
the
it?
wallet,
Mhm.
right? Who holds the wallet?
Yeah.
So maybe, it's again, at the birth, it's just for adoption to come on, and the parents ultimately, of course, they are number one. They're responsible for the child. They are the parent. They are the guardian. They immediately get access.
They have wallet, and then they can release it to the individual when they turn 18.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up a point about the whole paradigm of cheating. Like the genius of blockchain was that it created a incentive system where you get more benefit participating in the system than trying to cheat against it. Okay, and right now, education, like in home, we homeschooled our kids. It's a different paradigm, and the grades of homeschooling are in a totally different way, because you don't need to compare one kid against 30 other in their class. And critics kind of the critics of homeschooling say, oh, those grades are just mommy's grades. But really, it's a different paradigm, because the child, and you're training that child to help them come to mastery of a subject matter. So rather than cheating or not cheating, it's about how can they develop into mastery of the subject matter. And then obviously the critics, I would say, the defense of the critics who say, oh, wow, you're just giving them mommy's grades. You're just giving them A's, because they all get straight A's because mommy's grading them. Well, I mean, if you look at the way homeschoolers in general perform in college against their peers who weren't, you can see, well, okay, so maybe those grades aren't fake, because they're thriving so well in higher education. And I think if we can have more paradigms like that, I think we definitely set up the system that in cheating is incentivized. But our friend just mentioned skydiving, if you're skydiving, you're not going to cheat. Oh, hey, I cheated. I didn't pack my hair. I didn't pack my. Oh yeah, ha ha ha! I didn't pack my chute. It's like And the more we can create real world opportunities like that, and then
I want to get there faster by now. Okay, shoot.
Yeah, I got yeah. And then most of success in the world too is not one person being measured against 30. Most of the true success in the world is how can that one person make the team better? How can they make the 30 better? How can we cooperate together? So what we could see in the future, I see opportunity for AI to really impact education is where it can empower teachers to be, we talked about that personal impact that changed, us so much. The more teachers can be in that place of personally connecting and impacting, shift from being the expert who has to teach everything to being the tutor that guides the student into how to learn and connects them with the experts, which is where AI comes in. That's
Brandon,
what's exciting.
why don't you jump in, Brandon? And then Nigel, I'd love to hear from you as well.
Yeah, so I've been, I've been noodling on efficient ways to utilize AI for education. And for instance, this is specifically for me. I'm looking at if I want to create content and educate people on my things that I've spent my whole life learning. I don't like to be in front of the camera. There's a lot of things to say. I trip up on my words. It's just not very, it's not very great, right? And I can't deliver the message. There's a lot of fluff, and it's not, the delivery of the message is not, it takes a lot of time to learn that. Now, utilizing AI, my kind of dream that we're working on in our organization is utilizing AI avatars, training those avatars, specifically, let's just say, 2 church pastors I really like how they deliver. I'll train the AI on how they deliver a certain thing. and I'll go to the Lord. I'll say, hey, I want to talk about this specific subject. I'll have it AI write it out. I'll plug it into my AI avatar that speaks just like me. It looks just like me, and it can speak in multiple languages one time, and that content is there forever. That changes the game for all educators. They can basically clone themselves, not a great word, but they can clone themselves, and then they can have themselves on and have good tactical content that they actually can learn that's activating. So it's not just taking content and talking at people, but also having education where you can teach them how to activate on those things where you actually can learn them. And so it's just a way better way. It's more efficient, and you can do more with less money and less time.
So
it's all about
content. And the content's super good.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this real quick. I don't want to put you on stand on the coals or anything. That process that you just described is a beautiful thing, and that's what everyone's leading into, to actually work the AI to your best. It's your best assistant.
Yeah.
Back to the education thing about what I was saying with the kids. When you set up the AI and have the AI give you a great package of something, are you still able to spend the time that you need to, as you pray before the Lord, and He's giving you the guidance to have this delivery of this awesome material? Are you able to spend time and actually I don't want to say study, but even grasp it, because it takes maybe an hour to read what they came up with. That way you still have the super good content for any of your parishioners or people coming to you asking you questions, and making it available for you to drop the seed.
Oh yeah, 100%. I don't think this is a thing where just give me 10 good ideas and let's just go with one.
Exactly.
It's something that's like, okay, I feel I really need to talk. It's resonating with my spirit. It's resonating with me.
It sponges into you.
It sponges into me. And so I'm actually using AI
It's
also, before we talked about, is you keep using AI as a dependency where you're just doing it for you, which you don't learn anything, or you're using it as a tool to just accelerate. Now, me and Curtis, we use AI like crazy people to learn about scripture, about this, about deep things.
Then
we're like, wow. And so we've accelerated so much because we're taking those things, and then we're like, oh, well, this is an important topic. I can't really put this into words because it's hard to articulate, but now I can do it in a tactical way where I can get what's in my mind out there in a delivery mechanism that doesn't give me anxiety.
Right.
And then now I can actually create impact through what the words I'm saying, because it's thoughtful. It's like if you're spending time using AI, we talked about it yesterday in the call, like AI and faith. But if you're spending time with God and you're saying, God, what do you want to do? And you're partnering with Holy Spirit or partnering with those things to then have that input in
first.
It's all about input.
Right.
It's not about the output. Is all derived from the input. So if you get input in a way and you have tactical way to structure that input, the output is going to be phenomenal.
Garbage in, garbage out, good in, good out. Yeah.
What do you think about that, Nigel? Why don't you take us home? We got about a minute left.
Well, I think one of the things that we need to really spend a lot of time on is nuance, and what our intent is. If you intend to teach someone something and you have the empathy to see that they're just struggling and not being difficult, that they actually want to learn, there's a lot of value there. If you understand your audience and who you're trying to teach, think about like Mr. Miyagi. Danielson didn't know what he was learning, but Mr. Miyagi sure knew what he was teaching because it was intentional. And I don't
We'll be
think
back again tomorrow. Thank you, everybody.